In a world where technology is the new addiction, what would you do to save the ones you love? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is my coverage of Tokyo Ghost. If you don't want to get lost in the sauce, go check out my previous videos before you watch this one, because I promise you it is very important to the general overseeing story. Now, let us begin. With a quick recap, you have all met Led Dent, the abnormal, super powerful warrior, a literal human weapon. And next to him, Deputy K, the literal love of his life, the one person on earth who wants the best for him, even when he doesn't want the best for himself. But at the end of the day, they have to be working for someone, and sadly, that someone is a literal cancer to the planet. He was in charge of everything entertainment. All the holograms were connected to something, and that something was controlled by him. I'm not even going to say his name because he doesn't deserve it, so let's just call him the boss. The boss was the boss of everything. Matter of fact, he was the king of Los Angeles. He started off the meeting by giving Dent and Debbie props for their mission. Capturing their psychopath was incredibly impressive, especially because his capture brought information that will blow their minds. But he wanted to speak to them in private, so they left, only for Debbie to turn around and see the servants drinking his bath water. He was demented, high as hell. It was time to discuss business because he had a proposal for them. He basically owned them, like literally. They were not allowed to do nothing, especially not leaving this place. That would be against the rules. But thanks to them bringing in this psychopath, Davey, he discovered a mountain of resources untapped, and these resources were all located in one place, Tokyo. Also discovering at the same time that Tokyo were the ones that gave Davey his ability. Their goal was to push the human mind to unfathomable limits, but this process also caused Davey to go insane. But I digress. This mission was simple. This place, Tokyo, was protected by a warlord and an EMP, and he wanted both of them to infiltrate Tokyo, destroy the EMP, take out the warlord, and then they will be free. But this guy didn't know. He just handed them their freedom already, because this was what Debbie wanted with all of her heart. A place without technology, a place she could get her man clean. So she decided to play it cool, playing like she didn't want it, but she accepted the mission nonetheless, because this was everything. As they set off, because they were supposed to leave immediately, we see the city they hail from. This place was hell. The rich and the poor were black and white. They were either extremely rich or extremely poor. The poor were literally leaving behind actual bio waste. They were dying. Maybe Debbie was right. Maybe this place was not worth saving at all. So, even as her man complained, she said, "Get in the fucking submarine." He wanted to watch his shows, but this was the opportunity she had to erase this addiction from his life. And so, their journey began. But first off, she had to prepare him, because as soon as they hit that EMP, all his tech and his shows were going to go dark at the same time. She had to prepare him, which meant she had to wake him up. His true self, buried beneath all of his addictions, she had to bring back the real Dent. As this process went on, she remembers the birth of their friendship. Her mother was neglectful, buried in technology. She was the only one unplugged. So, when she met a boy on her street that was plugged into technology as well, she forced him to look at the world for real. He was reluctant at first, but he found that he loved the world. He found that he loved her in the world. It didn't take long for their friendship to blossom into something real, something like love. But, as usual, in every community there are always bullies, and these bullies actually shamed them for being offline. Literally, they beat them up for not being online. Like that was logical. They beat him down so much and they made his girl watch. Except they were holding back, rather, they were beating back the wrong person. His girl was the most dangerous one of all, because she didn't stand by. She proceeds to beat all of them down by herself, protecting her man. But this was a mistake, because he was still a man. And in a world where everything is online, Everybody saw this. They started laughing at him, calling him names. Even his teacher disrespected him. So he made the logical choice and joined the service. He graduated in flying colors, becoming a constable, and he got his revenge on the animals that beat him up as a child. And now we're back in the present. We see that Debbie had the opportunity to leave this prick all this time, but she loved him too much. Literally, he was the only person in the world she loved. So, as every loyal woman should be, she stood beside her man all through their journey to Tokyo. But she found out quickly that her man, when he was going through withdrawals, was a freaking bastard. He was rude, he was ungrateful, and he was still carrying around all that trauma from years ago. He didn't like to be supported. He didn't like to feel less than a man. But this brother failed to realize he wasn't fully clean. He was still going through withdrawals. He needed her far more than she needed him. He just had a lot of pride. And that pride was going to make them fail their mission because he got sighted immediately. A samurai wielding two twin blades was just watching him. And when he realized he was being watched, he tried to react quickly. He tried to remove his gun and shoot, but the samurai was quick. The samurai was gone. Dent tried his best to catch up, but he realized really quickly that when he was not on the juice, he was really pathetic, slow, sluggish. He didn't like to feel this way. He didn't like to feel weak. This samurai was basically a goddamn rabbit. He was a ninja. When he thought he had him in his clutches, he leaped distance from him. The realization that he was about to die made him grab for a vine. And Debbie was right behind him. I mean, you would think Debbie was going to save her man, right? Nah, she was going to protect the mission. Using his face as a platform to leap, she jumped and grabbed the vine, directly hitting the samurai. Both of them tumbled off a building. This was a height not many were supposed to survive, but Tokyo was filled to the brim with green. This place had enough cushion. But when she came to, she realized she probably should have died when she fell. That would have been a better outcome than this. Not one, not two. She was surrounded by literally hundreds of warriors, and these guys were definitely death dealers because they had their arrows and katanas, and right in front of them was their warlord, and she was beautiful, glowing red like something supernatural. This was the warlord they were sent here to assassinate, and now they were exposed. What will come next? I am excited to find out.